Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Thursday and it is now May 1st, 2025, and today's topic will be called Drawing a Fantasy Mini Comic. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. So I'll start a 10-minute timer, and this is a mini comic that I started, and this will be like a mini series, which means there's only going to be a couple of videos. So I did one yesterday where I talked about this, how to get ideas for like fantasy buildings that's inspired by like Gothic architecture. And after I did this, so I'll post a link to this video. It's from yesterday. I decided to go ahead and for today's video, so I mentioned I wanted to do another video to kind of keep exploring it. I decided to go ahead and do like a mini comic because I'm working on a comic, and this is kind of like a prototype or a experiment to see kind of the look and feel that I'm going for. And so I'll put this in the comics or drawing comics playlist. So yeah, with all that said, basically what I did was, so this is printer paper. I'll just kind of go over the process, like my process. And again, it's kind of an experiment. Yeah, I can see through it. And that's why when I do these sketches, I'm pretty loose. Like I kind of know like the lines that I want. So like right here, for example. And then when I go in to draw it, I don't always have to do it like this way, for example. I will kind of go over all of that. But like, if it works, then that's fine if I don't have to redraw it, because I like the look of that. Same with the skyline. I just drew that. But I've gone over that a few times in different videos, just using, I like using this printer paper. In yesterday's video, I kind of showed how to, I didn't have the look of the top of this building. I'd had that, and then I sketched a cleaner version. And you can use pencil. I just went in and drew over it like that. And I just kept, like, it's still a little bit off, but I kept the most important lines. So each time you like redraw it, you'll know it better. And that's kind of how studies work, basically. That's basically what I did. And then of course I added things. So the skyline was here. And I'll kind of talk about sort of my thought process for a comic. So this is like a long shot. So it's the subject. So for example, this is a long shot, but of the character. And this is a long shot, but of like the building. So this is like an establishing shot. So there's a long shot, and then it's a medium shot of the building. Although if I put the character in it, kind of like this, it's a long shot of the character because that's the focus. This is like a long shot, a medium shot, and then like a close-up basically here. And I just did the same thing here, except that I kind of changed the order of it. So I had like a long shot, and then like a close-up, and then like this would be like kind of a medium shot. Also I was just playing around with like the panels. So you'll see that if there's space, like the gutter in other words, here, like the timing changes. So this one doesn't have a gutter, and I was just playing around with that. And also the same with the amount of panels. I'm just gonna say like this is one page. That's why I'm calling it like a mini comic, super mini comic. It's a one-page comic. The other thing I wanted to mention was, so on some of them, like this one, I just looked off of the sketch and I didn't pencil it. I just, because I could see through it, so I'll do that. So I just like did this, inked it. And as far as like the inking, it's just like I have this pen. I'm just using whatever I have. It's like a fine liner. Like I have this other brand right here. So that's the other thing, is that I decided to use like a fine liner for this. And it looks like this if I use like a medium point, like a felt tip. But yeah, I wanted to mention that. The other thing is sometimes I'll pencil it, like with this panel. I penciled like because I wasn't sure. And so yeah, you could do that with the whole thing. You could just pencil it out. It's up to you. It's how much you Like this one, for example, I didn't pencil it, and I ended up just kind of covering it. But like I kind of knew that there was going to be, that was like the look of it. Like there would be a lot of shadow, but it was almost like not going to work. And that's the thing with these experiments. You kind of want to just play around. I mean, if you can skip the penciling, that's fine too. Or if you want to pencil it, like I'll kind of work on some of this. In some areas, I'll just kind of crosshatch, and that's like penciling basically. That's why I'm using like a thin pen. So for this next part, I wanted to go over, so part of this is like the style and like the technique. And so I'll talk about this panel. So with this panel, I just kind of loosely sketched it in with pen. Once I kind of have like a lighting scheme. So this is like stylistic. This isn't like trying to be like that realistic. It's mainly to lead the eye and like tell the story, like set the mood. So crosshatch basically with like a fine liner. Now I could go in later with something more bold once I actually have the rest of the picture. And that's the other thing I wanted to point out, was that at least in my approach, I'm looking at like the whole page as like one piece. And so I'm going to develop it kind of the way I talked about, like an illustration. Like there's the sketch and then the light and dark. And then I started adding detail here just to have something to look at, to have like, yeah, like an idea of like the style. However, it doesn't mean like all the panels have to look like this. And it's probably better if it doesn't, because again, when you look at the whole page, if everything kind of has the same level of detail, it's sort of heavy on the eyes. Like it doesn't, like the main thing is like the story for like a comic page for me. So if this were just like one picture right here, like an illustration, then you could just kind of concentrate on it. But since it's a page, like the whole page is like an illustration, but it also has to tell a story. So I'm not really going to tell the story too much, because I want it to be obvious. You can kind of see like the sequence and maybe think about like why I did it, and also like if it works or not. Again, I'm experimenting also to see like if it works or not. Like I think it's okay. I mean, you have to just do a lot of pages there's not going to be like one perfect page, or maybe there will be, but after like maybe hundreds. Like in this one, I did use a straight edge on like some things, but like on some of these, like the curved, the arches, like I just freehanded that, and I freehanded most of it. But then sometimes when you go in with like a straight edge, so just as an example, one, you need to be able to move it around. So let's say that I want to make, like the point of it is I'm not making all of it like straight edge is my point. Let's say that I did that. You'll notice that, so like I did that here and then like kind of here, but like most of it is freehand. And that's just kind of how like I'm approaching it. Again, it might just be like a style thing. One thing is it does make it look more solid by doing that. Now, just an example here, this was all just kind of sketched in, but then maybe, so let's say I wanted to do a straighter kind of line. I might just go like this. Just an example. So there'll be like some parts like that, and it's kind of like up to you, like the look of it. So here, for example, like these background buildings, so I added this. So this was from that sketch from yesterday's video, but then like I kind of added this, and I just kind of copied like the basic perspective of like the buildings. So when I say things like I just kind of either eyeballed or like faked like the perspective, that's kind of what I mean. It's just for like the look of it. So I might start to sketch some of the texture. So part of this is the this was just the atmosphere of it, but you'll notice that there is some perspective taking place, like suggesting, and that was just kind of coming from this. But like these background ones, they can be sort of, I mean, it's supposed to be nighttime, so a lot of it is shadow. So I can just kind of suggest some buildings back here. And like I always say, just kind of build it up gradually, like the shadows, the light and the shadow. Some of this I probably will go back in with like a medium point, but for now I'm just going to do this because that's also has to do with the eye flow. But let's say that I have something like this. I might decide that this one will just be like solid, like a straight line. And I like this printer paper because I can flip it. So one thing is I wanted to add a little bit more here. And you could always use a pencil. And I'm just kind of eyeballing the like the straight edge here. I'm just kind of seeing. I'm using like the border and stuff. So yeah, turn the paper around. That's the other thing. And then just kind of work out like the shape of it to see if like, again, so this is perspective, but like it's eyeballing it just to see if it looks correct, like looks solid. And then some parts may just be like freehanded, but then whichever part actually looks like it would help. So for example here, like if it looks like it would help it to look more correct or solid or like good, you can just kind of go like this and then just kind of check the proportion. So like for example, maybe this one wants to come out a little bit more, and you can just do that. So that's what I mean by like eyeballing the perspective. It's like it was built on perspective. If you look at the sketch, kind of the same with this. Like I freehanded this, but then there might be some parts where you might want to go in and just straighten the lines out. But like you can kind of pick and choose, because when you do that, then the eye, like the focus is right there, and so that's kind of up to you. Like whichever line that you think. Yeah, so like basically whichever line you think will help. Kind of like with this may not have like straight lines because it's like this long shot. As far as like building up the light and dark, yeah, I would just look at the whole like page. So for example, so that this doesn't compete with this panel, I might not make it look like that. So some of the shadows, like I might start to make it look like this, but like never make it look like that dark. Or I might outline it in a more bold pen. That's just one of those things that you kind of, that's why I want to do an experimental page here, just to kind of see. Same with this. I might just outline it, not shade like a whole lot, or like just kind of put in more like faint lines like this. The other thing I wanted to point out, I guess I'll talk about like all the panels. So like kind of like with this, I can kind of decide like, all right, what would be like, maybe keep it pretty empty. And of course there's probably going to be text. So there's that. But then if I kind of have an idea of like the light, so it's supposed to be kind of medieval. So it's not really going to have a ton of like street lights or anything, so just kind of make it look sort of dark. But then let's say that I might want like the moon or something, so maybe just right here. So I just kind of sketch that in real quick and then kind of use that as like the idea for this, and just lay down some tone. Again, it doesn't have to be this way, it's just kind of just an idea. So this panel was basically kind of abstract. I'm saying like we're zooming into the building. That may or may not work. It was just to see. I mean, I think it works. Then yeah, I decided, okay, I'll go ahead and add like a character in here. And the approach on this one might be very different. I might make the texture more similar to this so that it connects. So that's kind of the other thing, is sort of connecting the sequence. Sometimes you can connect it. So this is more kind of like my ideas about comics. That's why I'm going to put it into the comics. You can connect it by like the way you shade it or render it, like. And that's just like one approach to designing the city and like the buildings and making a comic. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I'll just kind of keep working on this. I probably won't make a video about it. That'll be it for today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.